The hum of the space station was constant, a low, vibrating reminder that life, no matter how artificial or mechanized, continued steadily in orbit above the distant blue planet. Kai adjusted his seat in the cramped quarters, glancing at the small personal table he had arranged just hours earlier. The station was a marvel of human engineering, a collaboration of minds from every corner of Earth, yet in moments like these, it felt impossibly small. He liked small spaces. They offered focus, a sense of control. At least that was the idea. Kai was focused on calibrating a miniature atmospheric analyzer he had built in his spare time. The device, a jumble of circuits, lenses, and glowing panels, was designed to detect trace gases from the station's recycled air. A small satisfaction bloomed in him as he saw the green lines stabilize, proof that his careful design was working. Humans had always been clever at making tools, he thought, even in the smallest ways. Then the door slid open. Kai barely had time to look up before a figure stepped inside. She was tall, with an alien elegance that immediately made him forget the calm hum of machinery around them. Her skin shimmered faintly under the soft lights, a color that seemed impossible to describe, like liquid silver catching the first rays of dawn. Her eyes, wide and confident, scanned the room without a hint of fear or hesitation. Kai froze. "Hello," she said in a voice that was melodious but firm. "I am Lyra. I have come to observe." Kai blinked. "Observe?" His voice sounded small in the quiet room. "This is my personal space." Lyra smiled, a confident curl of her lips that made Kai's chest tighten for reasons he didn't understand. "I understand the concept. I'm curious to see how humans inhabit spaces. It is fascinating." Kai swallowed. The words didn't make the situation any less unusual. He had read about alien visitors, diplomatic exchanges, cultural studies. None of that prepared him for an alien stepping into his room like she owned it. "You can't just—" he began, but Lyra held up a delicate hand. "Humans do not expect observation in their personal quarters. I intend only to learn," she said. Her tone left no room for argument. Kai exhaled slowly. He had two choices, panic or adapt. He chose the latter. "All right," he said finally. "You can stay. But please don't touch anything." Lyra's eyes sparkled with amusement. "Of course, I am careful." The next few minutes passed in awkward silence. Kai watched as Lyra moved through the room, her motions precise, almost ceremonial. She studied the shelves, the small stack of books, the neatly folded clothes. At one point, she paused in front of the bed, tilting her head. "This is your place of rest?" she asked. "Yes," Kai said, trying to sound casual though his palms were sweaty. "Humans need sleep." Lyra nodded thoughtfully, then, to Kai's astonishment, she sat on the edge of the bed. It didn't look comfortable. He had spent months adjusting the mattress for the perfect firmness, but she seemed unconcerned. "I will remain here for observation," she said, her voice soft but unwavering. Kai opened his mouth, then closed it. "Observation, sure," he muttered. "I guess." He took a deep breath. Humans had always found ways to turn strange situations into opportunities. Perhaps this was one of those times. Over the next hour, Kai showed Lyra small inventions he had crafted from spare station parts. A mini drone that mapped air currents, a device that measured humidity with extreme accuracy, a mechanical arm that could fold clothes perfectly. Lyra's eyes widened with every demonstration, and she asked questions with a genuine curiosity that Kai had never encountered in a human colleague. "You are inventive," she said finally. "Humans are clever even in trivial matters." Kai shrugged. "We have to be. There's nowhere else to hide from problems. We solve them." Lyra's smile deepened. "That is admirable." Kai felt a small pride swell in his chest. Here was an alien, advanced and perhaps centuries ahead in technology, acknowledging human ingenuity. A rare moment. Hours passed like this. Kai, despite initial discomfort, began to feel a rhythm. He explained human routines, small traditions, why humans kept certain objects close, how personal space meant more than just physical boundaries. Lyra listened, asked questions, and occasionally made a note in a device Kai didn't recognize. When Kai finally leaned back on the edge of his workbench, exhaustion and excitement mingling, Lyra looked around the room with a faint laugh, almost musical. "Your species values simplicity, yet thrives in complexity. Fascinating," she said. "I wish to stay longer. There is much to observe." Kai's mind raced. Most humans would panic at this point, not him. Humans adapted. That was what made them strong, even when confronted with the impossible. Then stay, he said finally, a small smile breaking across his face. But you'll have to learn human rules, that's part of the observation. Lyra's eyes glimmered. I will do my best. I am ready to learn. Kai realized then that the station didn't feel so small anymore. With a curious alien sitting on his bed, asking questions and marveling at human life, his room had become a place of exchange, of discovery, of quiet triumph. Humanity's strength, he thought, wasn't in power, it was in adaptability. And right now, he was living proof. The hum of the station continued. Somewhere beyond the walls, the stars waited. And inside a small room, humans had begun a subtle, silent claim in a galaxy that hadn't yet understood their brilliance. The next morning, the station's lights flickered softly, signaling the start of another day in orbit. Kai woke to the quiet whirring of machinery and the faint aroma of recycled air. For a moment, he forgot the strange presence in his room. Then he remembered. Lyra was still there, sitting cross-legged on the edge of his bed, as if she had claimed it the night before. "Good morning," she said, her tone calm but strangely cheerful. Her eyes, which seemed to shift colors with the light, sparkled. "I slept according to human patterns. Your bed is comfortable." Kai rubbed his eyes, trying to shake off the surreal feeling. "Good morning," he said. "I guess I should be happy you followed the rules, sort of." Lyra tilted her head, a gesture that was almost human in its curiosity. "I am learning. Humans have strong routines. It is fascinating," Kai smiled. "It's not all science and work. Humans need breaks. Play, music, small comforts." Lyra's gaze lingered on a small, worn notebook on his desk. She pointed at it. "What is that?" Kai picked it up. "It's just my journal. I write thoughts, ideas, sometimes sketches. Humans express themselves in many ways." Lyra leaned closer, her eyes scanning the pages. "I see patterns, connections, logic, but with emotion." She paused. "This is different from your machines, yet it is effective." Kai felt a sense of pride. He had spent years learning, inventing, observing, and documenting. And here was an alien, centuries advanced, appreciating something so human: thought, creativity, expression. For the next several hours, Kai guided Lyra through the station's daily routines. They moved through narrow corridors, past other humans, past humming machinery that sustained life in space. Lyra observed quietly, occasionally asking questions about strange human habits. "Why do humans smile when nervous?" she asked suddenly, her voice soft but analytical. Kai chuckled. "It's complicated. Sometimes it's a way to cope, sometimes to communicate, sometimes just a habit." Lyra considered this carefully. "Curious. Humans adapt socially, emotionally, and physically, very effective for survival." Kai felt a thrill of agreement. That was it. Humans survived because of adaptability. Even now, in the presence of an alien, humans could impress without weapons, without dominance, without force. They could win simply by being clever, resilient, and unpredictable. As the day progressed, Kai introduced Lyra to his experiments in the lab. He had built small devices to study microgravity effects on plant growth, miniature drones that navigated the tight corridors of the station, and a series of logic puzzles designed to test artificial intelligence. Lyra moved from one demonstration to another, her reactions varying from amusement to deep fascination. "You are clever," she said at one point, holding a drone in her delicate hands. "You have taken simple materials and made tools far beyond their apparent purpose." Kai shrugged, trying not to sound boastful. "Humans have always done that. We make the best of what we have. That's how we survive." Lyra's gaze softened. "Your species has a quiet power, not through weapons or dominance, but through intellect, creativity, and willpower." Kai felt a small warmth at her words. He had spent so much of his life proving human ingenuity in small ways. Here, in front of a being from another world, his species' strengths were being recognized. That was something no formal report, no mission briefing could capture. As the hours stretched into what passed for night in orbit, Kai and Lyra sat together in his small quarters. He demonstrated the human custom of making tea, explaining the ritual of boiling water, steeping leaves, and savoring warmth and flavor. Lyra watched intently, mimicking his motions carefully, though her own alien physiology made the act appear delicate and otherworldly. "This is enjoyable," she said softly, sipping the warm liquid. "I understand why humans value such rituals. It is grounding." Kai nodded. "It is. Humans have ways to connect to small pleasures. It helps keep us balanced." Lyra's eyes flickered thoughtfully. "Your species balances survival and curiosity. That is remarkable. Many species focus on one or the other. Humans do both. Kai realized then that this small alien, who had stepped into his personal space uninvited, was learning more than he had imagined. She was learning why humans succeeded, why they persisted even in the face of challenges. And through her eyes, he was beginning to see it too. Humans were quietly extraordinary. In the days that followed, their interactions deepened. Kai began showing Lyra Earth customs through virtual simulations, human music, art, architecture, and literature. Lyra would tilt her head, absorbing each new concept, sometimes laughing at human quirks, sometimes nodding in admiration. One day, while observing a simulation of Earth's oceans, Lyra suddenly asked, "Why do humans value fragile life so much? You risk much to protect it, yet it offers no immediate survival benefit." Kai paused. It was a question he had thought about often. Humans see value and potential in growth, in connection. Life itself is precious. Protecting it is part of what makes us human. Lyra's gaze softened. "I see, your species is not just clever, it is ethical. You make choices beyond immediate gain. That is rare." Kai smiled. "That's us. Flawed, messy, but remarkable." As the observation continued, Lyra began asking for human advice on problem solving. She presented hypothetical scenarios from her species' perspective, and Kai offered suggestions, sometimes unconventional, often based on human intuition rather than raw logic. Each time, Lyra nodded, impressed by human unpredictability and creativity. "You are teaching me human strategy," she said one day, eyes glinting. "Your solutions are unexpected. I will record this for my council. Your species exceeds expectations." Kai felt a thrill of pride. Without intending it, humans were making a mark in the galaxy, not through force, but through intellect, empathy, and adaptability. The quiet confidence of his species, the same confidence that allowed humans to survive in harsh environments, navigate complex societies, and innovate endlessly, was now recognized by an alien observer. Evenings in the quarters became a time of storytelling. Kai shared human myths, legends, and personal experiences. Lyra listened, sometimes asking questions that revealed her own culture, its strengths and weaknesses. They laughed over small misunderstandings, marveled at each other's ingenuity, and found a rhythm that neither had expected. One evening, as the station floated silently among the stars, Lyra leaned back on the edge of the bed, the same edge she had claimed on her first day, and said softly, "Humans, you surprise me. Not through strength, not through weapons, but through everything else. Your species is extraordinary." Kai felt a quiet triumph. Humanity did not need to dominate through violence or intimidation. It won quietly through adaptability, creativity, and the stubborn brilliance of its people. The galaxy might not yet understand it, but Lyra did. And that was enough. For the first time, Kai realized that his room, small and ordinary, had become a symbol of something much larger. Humanity's place in the stars was not claimed through fear. It was claimed through ingenuity, empathy, and the unexpected courage to face the unknown with a smile. Lyra, observing, learning, and quietly recording everything, represented the galaxy's first acknowledgement of human worth. And Kai knew that this was only the beginning. In the silent hum of the station, amidst blinking lights and softly whirring machines, humans had begun to quietly, confidently stake their claim in a universe that had not yet understood their brilliance. And this was just the start. The days on the station passed in a rhythm Kai had come to enjoy. Lyra continued her careful observations, moving through his room, studying the devices, and learning about human habits and ingenuity. But now Kai noticed something different in her behavior. She was no longer just observing, she was testing him, subtly presenting challenges that required human creativity to solve. One morning, as Kai prepared his breakfast, Lyra entered with a small device in her hands. "I have constructed a problem," she said. "A test. Humans solve problems differently than my species. I want to see how you approach this." Kai raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "All right," he said. "What kind of problem?" Lyra placed the device on his table. It was a small cube, its surface covered in strange symbols that shifted and shimmered. "It is a logic puzzle," she explained. "Your species will approach it with reasoning, intuition, or ingenuity. My council expects solutions based on calculation and memory." "Show me human methods." Kai studied the cube carefully. The symbols changed every few seconds, forming patterns that seemed almost impossible to predict. Most species would attempt brute force calculations or follow rigid protocols. But humans were different. They could see connections, make leaps of logic, imagine solutions beyond what was immediately obvious. He picked up a pencil and began sketching the patterns, noting repetitions, creating his own symbols to track changes. Lyra watched silently, occasionally tilting her head as if trying to understand his thought process. Kai smiled. This was familiar territory, problem-solving under observation. Humans thrived in these moments. Hours passed. The cube seemed impossible at first, but Kai noticed a subtle rhythm in the shifting symbols. He realized that the cube's movements were not random. They followed a pattern, a hidden structure designed to test creativity rather than raw computation. He experimented, rotating the cube, aligning symbols in ways that made sense to him, and testing sequences. Lyra leaned closer, observing every movement. When Kai finally pressed a specific combination of symbols, the cube emitted a soft hum and unfolded slightly, revealing an internal chamber filled with more intricate designs. Lyra's eyes widened. You did not follow conventional logic. You relied on intuition and observation. This is fascinating. Your species adapts, imagines, and improvises. It is beyond calculation. Kai felt a surge of pride. Humans did not always have the most advanced technology, nor did they always follow rigid protocols. But their creativity, curiosity, and ability to adapt to unexpected circumstances, this was humanity's greatest strength. Even an advanced alien species could not predict the human mind. Lyra continued to present challenges over the next few days. Some involved puzzles, some involved strategy simulations, and some tested human social intuition. Each time, Kai approached the problems in his own way, relying on creativity, observation, and the subtle understanding of systems. Each time, Lyra was impressed, documenting his solutions with meticulous care. "You are extraordinary," she said one evening, her voice carrying a rare warmth. "Your species does not merely survive. You thrive not through force, not through dominance, but through ingenuity, empathy, and intuition. You are remarkable." Kai smiled. He had begun to feel that humanity was quietly making its mark, not with weapons or threats, but with ideas, adaptability, and quiet confidence. Lyra's admiration was proof that humans could impress the galaxy without lifting a hand in anger. Then came the moment that Kai had anticipated, but did not expect to arrive so soon. Lyra informed him that she would present his methods to her council, a gathering of her species, leaders who had long underestimated humans. The council's assessment could influence whether humanity would be viewed as a partner, a curiosity, or a minor threat. Kai knew the stakes were high. One misstep, one failure to convey the brilliance of human thought, and the opportunity could be lost. But he also knew that humans thrived under pressure, that ingenuity often emerged when the challenge seemed impossible. For the next week, Kai prepared. He refined his experiments, polished his demonstrations, and rehearsed his explanations. Lyra assisted him, offering subtle guidance, showing him what aspects of human behavior her species would find most compelling. Together, they created a showcase of human creativity, innovation, and adaptability. Finally, the day arrived. The council convened through a holographic link, their forms flickering into Kai's quarters. They were imposing, their appearances unfamiliar and awe-inspiring, with features that seemed to shift subtly as they observed. Lyra stood beside Kai, presenting him to the leaders. Kai began his demonstration, explaining human inventions, routines, and cultural practices. He showed simulations of problem-solving, creative thinking, and adaptation to unexpected scenarios. He presented his own inventions, not just for utility, but as expressions of human curiosity and imagination. The council observed silently, their eyes flickering as they absorbed every detail. When Kai finished, he waited, heart-pounding, unsure of their judgment. Then Lyra spoke. "This human exemplifies the qualities of your species. Creativity, adaptability, intuition, and ethical reasoning are evident. Observe how he approaches problems, not with force, but with ingenuity. This is humanity." The council murmured, a sound that was almost musical, resonating through the holographic space. Kai could not interpret their language, but Lyra translated. "They are impressed. They acknowledge your species' capabilities. They see potential for cooperation, learning, and mutual growth. Humanity is extraordinary." Kai felt a quiet triumph. No weapons, no battles, no intimidation. Humans had impressed an alien species simply by being themselves. Their ingenuity, empathy, and adaptability had spoken louder than any display of power could have. Over the following days, Lyra explained that her council had decided to propose a formal partnership with humanity, a recognition of their potential in interstellar collaboration. Humans would be consulted, included in explorations, and respected for their unique problem-solving abilities. It was more than Kai had hoped for, and it was a victory achieved quietly, cleverly, and entirely without conflict. Kai looked around his room, now familiar and transformed. It had been the stage for a historic moment, a place where humanity had quietly claimed a place in the galaxy. Lyra remained there, sitting on the bed she had claimed weeks before, her gaze thoughtful and approving. "You have done well," she said softly. "Your species has shown me the true measure of human potential. You thrive not through dominance, but through understanding, creativity, and courage. This is impressive." Kai smiled, a warm, satisfied smile. "That's humans. We survive, we adapt, we create. Sometimes we just need a chance to show it." Lyra nodded. "And now the galaxy will see. Humanity is remarkable." As Kai watched the stars through the station's viewport, he realized that this was only the beginning. Humanity had claimed its place not through power, not through conquest, but through the quiet, steady brilliance of its people. And as the stars stretched endlessly before him, he understood something fundamental. Human ingenuity, empathy, and adaptability would continue to surprise the universe, again and again. The small space of his quarters had become a bridge between worlds, a symbol of quiet triumph. Humans had proven that intelligence, creativity, and understanding could open doors that force could never touch. In the silent hum of the station, amid blinking lights and softly whirring machines, Kai knew one truth. Humanity had already begun to shape the galaxy, not with violence, but with brilliance. Lyra stood and placed a hand gently on Kai's shoulder, a gesture of respect that transcended species. "You have taught me much," she said. "The galaxy will never underestimate your species again." Kai nodded, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. Humans had quietly, confidently claimed their place among the stars, and this, he knew, was only the start. For in every small invention, every act of creativity, every choice to understand rather than conquer, humanity's brilliance would continue to shine, quietly changing the galaxy, one clever step at a time. Kai smiled, looking out at the stars, imagining a future where humans and aliens could learn from each other, where intelligence and ingenuity would define a species more than any weapon ever could. And in that moment he realized, humanity had won not through conflict, but through the quiet, unstoppable power of being truly remarkable.